Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 28th of August, comes to you from London. And we're seeing the dollar just heading back into bullish territory, having had a big sell-off on Friday. So we are seeing that push back to bullish. So dollar again bullish in all three time frames, having had a setback on Friday. And we see the euro, having had that resurgence on the weaker dollar, is now looking bearish again. So Eurodollar is bearish on all three time frames. Against the yen, the dollar is also just improving, so that suggests we will see this move sustained. Sterling actually managing to hold on against that stronger dollar again, so we're seeing sterling looking bullish on the short-term chart, sitting at 122.76. Was really nudging that 120 level for a while there. And against the euro, sterling also looking stronger above the 110 level. Against the Swiss franc, we're seeing sterling back above 120, so some relief there as well. Looking at Bitcoin, we're back above the $10,000 level, still not quite bullish on the short-term chart. And if we look at the US stock market, it was down slightly last night, so we're still struggling to bounce off this support level on the daily chart, and we are just ending up back into bearish territory there on the short-term chart. So a little bit of a worry there. And if we look at the Nasdaq, we see that's bearish on the short-term chart as well, as is the Dow, which was down 0.5% last night. So we're not out of the woods yet for US stocks. And the Russell 2000 continues to look weak, nudging these new lows for the year, so that's certainly a worry for the market. The futures this morning, we're seeing the S&P future up 0.2%, the Nasdaq E-mini also up 0.2%, so we are seeing that the market should open slightly up. Looking to Europe now, the UK market down 0.4% this morning, bearish on all three time frames. Midcaps down nearly 0.5%, although it's bullish on the short-term time frame, and the DAX is also down 0.4%, and the CAC Quarante down over 0.5%. So we are just seeing European markets still struggling. Japan was up slightly overnight, weaker yen helping there. But Hang Seng was down slightly, and the Chinese market down 0.3%. Still short-term bullish, but medium and long-term the picture is still pretty bearish. And the Indian stock market down over 0.5%. Aussie market was up nearly 0.5%. So we are one market sort of bucking the trend there, but still not enough to turn the market bullish on the short-term time frame. Brent crude sitting at 59.97, just nudging that $60 mark, short-term bullish at the moment, and WTI up 1% this morning, also short-term bullish. US nat gas sitting at $2.21, so not much change there. Looking at gold, we're sitting at $1,540. Holding on to most of the gains that we've seen recently, still looking incredibly bullish. We've got a 1599 target, 1600 target there on the short-term chart, so that's the one to play for at the moment. The long-term chart still has these big targets to 1690, 1530 now reached, of course, so 1690 and 1707 are the next targets. Taking a look at silver, we see here we're sitting looking very bullish there as well. Up another 0.75% this morning, and US 10-year yields sitting in the doldrums at 1.45%, so sitting in the 140s. Really hard to believe that they've more than halved in the last year. German bonds continuing to look pretty strong as well. Taking a look now at the world markets, we see here mostly red through the markets there. We have had some slight bucks of the trend. Looking at the Dow this morning, we saw that the best performer was Johnson & Johnson. Quite interesting given the court case they've recently gone through, but the chart is actually looking quite worrying, with the long-term position turning bearish there on the lagging line. Procter and Gamble, though, are actually bucking the trend. They're looking pretty strong, and a very bullish trend there since the middle of last year. They've gone up substantially, outperforming the Dow by 20% this year. So really looking pretty strong as well. IBM also looking strong as well. Looking on the downside, we see here that we've got United Health Group. They're down 3.5%, so looking bearish there, and that's just turning long-term bearish. Pfizer, another pharma company, of course, looking worrying on the chart, and Boeing, of course, been in the news a lot lately, still bearish in the medium term, not enough to turn it long-term bearish. In the Nasdaq, the best performers were Costco, just opened its first store in China, and up 14%, so looking pretty strong there. Up 5% overnight, so looking pretty strong there. And outperforming the market by 30% this year. Activision Blizzard up 5%, not enough to really change the long-term picture, but short-term, medium-term, we are seeing a recovery there. And NetEase up 3%. On the downside, we had Crude Retail. They were down 5%, and that chart plumbing new lows. And Western Digital also heading lower, but still medium-term holding on, but long-term not looking so great. Looking at the Aussie market now. The best performer was Apen Limited. They're up 11%. Afterpay Touch were up 9%. Still looking very good on the chart. Looking like it's getting set for a breakout. On the downside, we had Speedcast International down a further 33%. They've just plummeted over the last year, and we see here the underperformance on the market, some 75% worse than the Dow Jones. So that gives you an idea of how badly they've been doing. Looking at India now, here we see the live pricing coming in from Yahoo. HCL Technologies up 1.6%, looking pretty good there. Infosys also looking pretty strong. So we see improvements just continuing there. Yes Bank down 7%. And Vedanta Resources down 4.3%, also looking pretty grim on the charts. Taking a quick look at Europe now, we start with the FTSE 100 index, and we see Land Securities down up 2.5%, Morrison's up 1.5%, BP up 1.3%, and Sainsbury's up 1.3%. So supermarkets having a pretty good run today. The chart's not looking great there, but they are having quite a good time today. On the downside, we've got Prudential down 2.7%. That chart looking very weak indeed, underperforming the Dow Jones by 14% this year, looking lower there. And tobacco stocks hit with the news of this merger in the US overnight. So Imperial Brands down 1.87%. And we also saw BAT's down 1.5%. So that merger news knocking those shares quite heavily. As well. Looking at the 250 now, the best performer is Sentiment, up 7%. It was up 7%. Just we see a price change there to 1.5%. CYBG up 4.6%, and the Rank Group up 2.7%. Looking on the downside, we've got James Fisher and Sons down 5%. So that's falling away there, and Hilton Food Group also looking lower there too. On to Europe now. The best performers in Europe this morning: Telefonica up 0.5%, but still a dire looking chart. Enel up, and that's a much better looking chart. On the downside, we see here we've got quite a few fallers. CRH in Ireland, they're down 1.4%, and InBev, they're down, the brewer down 1.4% as well. AXA in Paris also heading lower and breaking lower still. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.